Hey everyone, welcome back to a new malicious compliance video. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called On Sale Pricing. In the United States there is a massive chain of convenience stores called 7-Eleven. These stores have self-serve soda fountains where the drinks are called Gulp, Big Gulp, Super Big Gulp, etc. Customers can bring in their own reusable cups of the same size and volume to reduce waste by not using a new disposable cup every time they get a soda. Customers also pay a discounted price since the store is not selling a new cup. In college I lived right next door to a 7-Eleven, so I was there almost every day. I had my refillable cup and filled it up with my regular beverage of choice. I noticed that the super big cups, which are 44 ounces in size, were on sale for 79 cents. My refill cup was exactly that size. Normally the super big cups cost $1.49, but with a refill cup they were only 99 cents. Quick side note, the person behind the counter today is not the usual cashier type, she is one of the owners of the franchise location. She is in there occasionally and she is very cold and businesslike in her demeanor. She doesn't smile and jokes with the customers like most of the employees. I've heard her chastise her employees for no good reason. I head up to the counter to pay for my soda and the boss lady rings me up for 99 cents, the cost of the refill. I said laughingly, "Hey, wait, the super big gulps are on sale for 79 cents. She replies very brusquely, "The price for the super big gulp is 79 cents. You have a refill, which is 99 cents. Your total is 107 with sales tax." And she holds out her hand expectantly. I was somewhat joking when I commented about the 79 cents, because like I said, I'm in there all the time and it's only 20 cents we are talking about here. But her demeanor and curt reply rubbed me exactly the wrong way. "You're telling me you're going to charge me 20 cents extra to use my own cup? Hold on 1 second. I leave my cup on the counter and trot 20 feet to the soda fountain to grab a new cup and hustle back to the counter. Mind you, there are a couple of people waiting in line behind me, so I'm hurrying, but I also know I'm being a complete pain. I take the lid off of my cup filled with soda and pour all of the soda into the new cup. She deletes the 99 cents on the cash register and rings me up for 79 cents. I pay her with a $1 bill and get my change. I said, "We are all done here, right?" And standing at the counter, I pour the soda from the new cup back into my refill cup. She says, "Oh, I'll take that for you," and holds out her hand for the no-use cup. I said, "Oh, yeah, you can claim credit for the damaged cup, right?" "No thanks, I'll keep it," and out the door I went. The next story is called What Are You Doing Here? I'm sure others can vouch for how often retail managers care more about their hours, coming in under forecasted manpower numbers. I was a first-line manager, basically a shift supervisor for this large retail company that was not a super Walmart, but the same sort of deal, definitely a bit more upscale. I'm on my tour with the manager I'm relieving, and during the walkthrough of the department he's going over my work from the night before. Evidently, the department manager wasn't happy that I didn't finish all my assigned work from the night before. He told me I simply cannot go home until all of my assigned work is complete. I had been given a task that would only take 4 to 8 hours and I got it maybe 75% done that night. Thing is, I was informed I had a week to get this task done and I did stay a couple of hours past closing as it was. Unlike all the managers above me, I was still an hourly employee, so my overtime affects our department's hours. I'm expected and scheduled to do 1 hour of overtime a shift, but anything above that will be seen in our reports. Still, I'm not written up, but I get an earful, whatever. I'll finish up easily tonight during my shift and can get the hours back under by leaving when the store closes. Well, that was my intention. The manager ends my tour by leading me back to the stockroom and gesturing to the bay where we kept our loose shelves and shelving accessories. This bay was a mess, and finding anything specific you need is an exercise in frustration. We'd like you to go ahead and reorganize this. Now, the closing shift at the store was 14:30 to 23:30 for managers, and there was usually more than enough regular work for the shift, and finishing up the previous task was doable if I hustled. Now, it was clear from the way he was talking about this bay, which evidently hasn't been organized in the last decade, is a long-term project. But he did put it on my tour. I didn't even get started on organizing the shelving bay until after the store closed and I had already finished all of my closing tasks. Now, at the end of an exhausting 9-hour shift is not the time to start organizing large, heavy shelves and about 1 million different types and sizes of hooks and pegboard accessories. I started by taking up the entire front floor side of the stockroom to spread out the assorted shelves and accessories. Just sorting these items out probably took 4, maybe 5 hours. I can tell you that after a certain point, even simple tasks like sorting easily take 1.5 to 2 times the amount of time it should take. That same manager came in at 6:30 and was shocked that I was still there. "What the heck are you still doing here?" "You told me yesterday that I have to get all my work done before I can go home. You knew this was a large task, so what did you expect?" Needless to say, he was mad and sent me home. Luckily, I was off that day, so I could try to rest. Because that afternoon I was called back in by the department manager to explain why his hours were off for the week. He wanted to cut my shifts for the rest of the week, but I was able to appeal to the store director and show that I had a written tour following directions, as dumb as they are. I stayed with that company for another 3 years, and they never did try to assign me too much work again. The third story is called Fast Enough. I started working at a local hamburger chain that's popular in my area for having extremely fast service and no interior seating. The drive-thru is split to take and receive orders on both sides of the restaurant. The B side of the building is less popular due to the passenger windows being adjacent to the window where you pass off your cash and receive your foodstuffs. When being trained, the manager shadowed me and gave instructions at the B side, while the A side was staffed by a couple of long-time employees. My first customer rolls up right after the manager explains the service time. If you don't know, most fast food joints have a clock near the register. After your car rolls up to the window, the clock starts. For each car, the time is recorded and an average is calculated to show how fast or slow your line is moving. So the manager says that my time limit is 30 seconds. He says to get the food from the prep station, put it into napkins and get it into the customer's car. So the guy orders just a BLT and the kitchen has it ready before he makes it to the window from the speaker. Even better, he had exact change. So I grabbed his money with one hand and underhand tossed the bag into his car and landed nicely with the other hand simultaneously. I very quickly said, "Have a nice day, thank you, come again," and slammed the window shut. He looked back at me with a startled expression for a second and I gave him a thumbs up and a huge maniacal smile and then he drove off. Honestly, it all happened so fast that he had barely come to a stop. I turned to my manager and pointed at the clock, which was flashing 6 seconds, and asked him if that was fast enough. He said maybe not that fast. The last story is called Time Card Policy. I have worked at many retail chains, have had many terrible bosses. At a small specific retail store 5 or 6 years ago at this point, I was confronted by my old boss on a specific event that I was late by 2 minutes. The previous day he had asked me to come in on my day off and at an earlier time than I normally do. I agreed to come in on my day off and work a shift I am not normally used to, but it's retail, it cannot be that difficult. My old boss asked me to work from 7 AM to 4 PM and I showed up at 7:02 AM. In my state there is a 5-minute window for everyone and this was 100% not a habit of mine at all. I am normally one to show up 5 minutes early every day and wait aside the time clock. I clocked on and walked to my department with a drink I had already purchased the previous day. As I walked into the department, the manager greeted me. Then he said, "When I schedule you at 7 AM, I expect you to be in department by 7 AM, not a minute later. We can't pay you to clock on, buy something and then start working. Over the course of a year, that adds up to hundreds of dollars of lost labor for one individual." I told my boss that my drink was from the previous day and that I just clocked on 2 minutes late. My boss replied, "That's not my problem, you need to plan better. You were scheduled at 7 and we are losing cost of labor each minute you are not here. Be in the department at the scheduled time." Which is not true. I spoke regularly with a payroll employee and she explained to me quite some time prior that the company does not pay you 3 minutes before or after your scheduled time. So if you clock on at 7 AM, you're not getting paid until 7:03 AM. If you clock on at 6:57 AM, you're not getting paid until 7 AM. Same for when you return from lunch. However, if you clock on at 7:04 after that 3-minute window, you begin getting paid immediately that minute. My boss was right, I need to plan better. I asked for a printout of my timestamps, going back as far as they had a record of, and I tallied up each day that I had arrived 3 minutes early and did not get paid for it. I counted well over 330 minutes within a 3-month span that I was not getting paid for, which ended up being a little over $110. I gave my old boss a copy and said, "You can pay me for these dates where I was in the department, on the dot, without getting paid for it." My old boss then replied, "That is not how our company policy works." He then went into detail to explain to me exactly what I had already known and gave him a copy of. Yet my old boss is now recognizing that he's contradicted himself and willingly lied to me. When everything clicked in his head that he's contradicted himself, it was far too obvious because his face went bright red and he started smiling. "Well, you know the policy, we can't pay you for that." "Then I will begin my shift when I'm getting paid, not the minute you schedule me. It's not like you're losing labor if you're not even paying the employees that window of time. Schedule me at 7 if you like, but I will not be clocking on until 4 minutes after the scheduled time, as you will not be losing any cost of labor for it and I will not be losing pay over your personal policy." For about 3 weeks, I clocked on 4 minutes late every day, no matter how early I arrived. I eventually got a warning from the building's HR that it's riding the line and very close to getting a write-up and down the discipline road. I explained to her the entire story, as she seemingly did not like this manager of mine either. She laughed pretty hard at the whole thing and offered me a department transfer with a higher pay. She reminded me that my behavior was listed under a category that could get me terminated and thought the transfer would be a fresh start. Instead, I put in my 2 weeks notice and thanked her for the wonderful opportunity. The funniest part of all this, years later I saw my old manager working at a new chain in a similar position to what he was doing when I worked for him. He smiled, waved, I smiled, waved, continued on. As time went on, I also bumped into the old HR manager who was working in an entirely different field. I asked her why my old boss left that company. She laughed and said he didn't leave, we fired him for time theft. Apparently, my old boss would take a lunch, leave the building and never clock out for it. Thanks for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already, it really helps in the algorithm. I hope you have a great day, stay safe, bye bye.